продовжуємо робочий день. Нашими наступними спікерами є координатор ресурсного центру.
Our next speakers represents of the Center for Assistance to the IDPs, Ms. Yuliya Galagan, co-founder, coordinator of the civic initiative KrymSOS, Tamila Tasheva, Olena Vinogradova, advocacy expert, and Olga Kurishko, lawyer, the Resource Center for providing help to IDPs. The topic is the civil society activists present their proposals at the national strategy in the field of human rights. You have the floor, esteemed colleagues. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming here. This briefing has been arranged by the Resource Center to provide help and assistance to IDPs, which actually is a coalition of different organizations together with the Ombudsman of Human Rights. The major directions of our activities is advocacy. In other words, work with the public policy regarding the IDPs, internally displaced persons, the legal direction, legal group, and analytic information collection and analysis of information regarding IDPs, also humanitarian aspect when we try to deal with those issues which were addressed to the organizations which are members of our coalition, and the civil support on the part of the public organization. And major aim is the formation of general or common position and providing this as the single and integral one. This center includes the Office of Ombudsman, the public organization KrymSOS, Project Без Границ, Without Borders, the Center of Public Freedoms and Matters, the Center of the Employment of Free People, Right to Protection, RACADA, and Crimean Diaspora. The Resource Center operates using two approaches: when the organizations represents Coordination Council, or they have participated some targeted measures. I also would like to say that our resource center is going to work as a hotline in order to provide the assistance to the counselors, to ministry or advisors of Ministry of Social Policy, and this project is coordinated by KrymSOS, and Yuliya is going to tell more about that. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Thank you for coming here. I'm going to tell you, Tamila Tasheva, to say a few words about this project. I believe many of you know that since September this year we launched the program of advisors regarding the issues associated with the IDPs. Those advisors are the, let's say, the advisors to Pavlo Zenka, Minister of Social Service Ukraine, and it's been operating for 3 weeks now. When we launched that, we understood that it's very important to coordinate the efforts of both the advisors and the employees of those organizations in the provinces. And this is kind of a coalition community which actually can help, on the one hand, to coordinate all the efforts, of the public organizations or NGOs, and on the other hand, to link this effort with the advisors in different sites, because all their total number is 27 all over Ukraine. They have the direct contacts with IDPs. They have a direct contact with the public authorities, the government authorities. That's why we decided to use the call center to arrange for the resource center. They provide them the opportunity to contact the councils if they, or advisors, if they cannot resolve the problem when addressing a public organization which provides the legal consultations to the IDPs. They understand that they cannot resolve the issue. They can actually address the only call center, resource center, with a request to help them to resolve a certain problem or issue, and they ask, for example, contact to be provided to provide them a possibility to contact the counselor or the advisor, for example, in Vinnytsia region. They call him this advisor actually commits to the paper. They commit to the paper in the call center. The issue, or maybe immediately can provide the link to the specific advisor. We believe that it's very important to coordinate the work of the Single Resource Center on the one hand, on the other hand, of the mentioned advisors, because the system of advisors, in our opinion, the opinion of our organization, number of other organizations which are part of the resource center to assist or to provide help to the IDPs. We believe it's very important, and I hope that in some time from now will be some specific results. Resolutions of problems which can be resolved at the regional level, but they will be in a systemic way resolved on the national level. And thank you very much, and I'll turn the mic to my colleague, the Resource Center, Yuliya. This is part of other NGO and the public organizations, or state governmental organizations, the working group which works on the protection, on the rights, human rights protection. The Resource Center organizations are part of the group which are responsible for implementation of the plan of actions associated with IDPs. And our coordinator of the advocacy group, Olena Vinogradova, will give you more details what kind of items or issues were submitted by our organization. We believe that all of them will be approved and they will be part of the national human rights protection program. Good afternoon. I would like to emphasize that from the very beginning of the work of the implementation of national strategy in the human rights protection, the Resource Center has been actively involved in the efforts of the working group responsible for implementation of national strategy to ensure the freedoms and rights of IDPs. The working groups includes the majority of the members of the organizations, members of the Resource Center, KrymSOS and the Right to Protection and Men in the Center of Civil Freedoms. All our proposals are being worked on by the working group. I would like to touch on the major of those, and those proposals which we believe the most important ones. Which require more attention to be riveted to them on the part of the government in order to ensure rights and freedoms to almost 1.5 million IDPs residing all over the territory of Ukraine. Number one, which we believe to be done, we have to develop the national strategy regarding the relationship between the government and IDPs until the year 2020. This strategy has to be developed with the involvement of the NGOs, international organizations, drawing from the source of the best international experience in order to ensure its integrity, comprehensive nature, all-roundness, if you will, and to ensure the protection interests of the overwhelming majority of IDPs. Number two, they need to develop the comprehensive, targeted national program to readjust and the social reintegration of IDPs. And the development of this program is provided for, stipulated by a special law on the matters of IDPs. But unfortunately, to our utmost regret, our country, almost 1 year after the start of the movement of those people, have failed to draw some kind of the fundamental documents which could be used as a basis not only by NGOs but also by international donors. We are talking about the grounds for the high-quality, target-oriented assistance to resolve the comprehensive, complex problems. Also believe it's necessary to adopt the necessary managerial decisions to create a special governmental agency which will regulate the actions and to protect the freedoms and rights of IDPs. What we see today, it's kind of scattered functions, sometimes the ruination of those functions, the result of which is the failure to resolve many issues associated with the everyday life of every person. providing jobs, providing housing, right to education, healthcare, etc. And the establishment of such a body or agency will ensure a single harmonized state policy or public policy aimed at the best possible insurance of the freedoms and rights of IDPs. Also, we believe a very important issue to be to provide the right to education, to health care, and if you're talking about the education, not only the secondary school or preschool education for the IDPs, since in the process of our work, each organization encounters a number of problems associated with the trying to find kindergartens or to transfer those children who study at the uncontrolled by government Ukraine territories, especially so those are in final grades like 10th and 11th grades. They cannot find any job or qualification or the source of the opportunity for them to continue their studies in the higher schools. Colleges, universities, etc., and then to ensure the interest of the people with special needs, people with some kind of disabilities, because those people cannot just be moved to any room or premises. They require special conditions of residing and treatment. Medical treatment, but unfortunately our country, our state doesn't have a single approach regarding the movement or accommodation of those people. And you're talking about the protection of human rights. It's very important. The plan of actions, human rights protection plan actions, it's very important for this plan to include this specific point. Now, the issues of the, let's say, certificates, special birth certificates and death certificates. Unfortunately, the government only proposes now the judicial procedure to confirm the fact of the birth or death of those people who reside on the uncontrolled territory and with the controlled territory in order to provide those rights of such citizens of Ukraine. It would be nice to develop and the implementation of administrative procedure for registration of the facts of deaths and births. Also, a very painful issue today is the issue of providing the residence to IDPs, since on the territories which they live now and they're going to leave now, they actually lose all the real estate they possessed, and they do not have any chance or opportunity to purchase or have the right to some other real estate for the residents, or providing their families with the, let's say, the most vital things for their residents. So we believe that the government has to include in the plan actions for the implementation of national strategy the special item to provide the housing, or let's say drawing up the plan of the state policy or public policy to provide the IDPs with housing. In particular, we emphasize the need to adopt the specific draft law regarding the compensation for the lost or damaged real estate or the property to IDPs. In addition to that, it is absolutely necessary to revisit the temporary procedure for crossing the line of contact, because even if we are talking about the changes and transformations in this procedure, but there are still a lot of outstanding problems regarding the freedom of those people who reside on the uncontrolled by the government of Ukraine territories. That's why we believe that those procedures have to be revisited once again, reconsidered, and we have to introduce necessary amendments and modifications therein. And you're talking about the we have to avoid the violation of their fundamental rights and freedom. Specifically, we're talking about the right to freely move on the territory of their native country. So Resource Center would like to see all that in the finalized plan of actions, which is going to be approved based on the results of the work of the Minister of Justice and civil society. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Olena. As I mentioned before, the Resource Center also carries out the analytical work of all the news and judicial topics which emerges every day regarding the news and the problems pertaining to the IDPs. Of course, we are talking first of all about the legal playing, so to say, legal field. That's why we are going to hear, we will hear Olga Kurishko, lawyer of the Resource Center, who actually works in the Ombudsman office. Also, together with her, there is the lawyer of Mender, who works in the text documents where the IDPs can come anytime. And we have all their telephone numbers and the contact information on our Facebook page, on our website, in our booklets or leaflets. You can take this information and deliver this information to those people who deem it important. Actually, at our website, you can subscribe to our news digest. In the major news which were kind of highlighted during the last month will be commented by Olga now. Regarding the analytical report, I have to say that it consists of several sections. Section number 1, this is the general review of the situation and also situation pertaining to IDP, their status and the problems which they encounter. There are special sections, for example, the job placement and the, let's say, the realization of the right to education. And of late, there was a very topical question regarding the right to exercise their election right during the local elections, which have to be held on 25th of October. An analytical report also contains the conclusions, recommendations from the team of resource centers and their organizations, which are part of the coalition of resource center, regarding the improvement in the situation and the compliance with the observance of the rights of the IDPs. This analytical report you can familiarize yourself with at our website. As my colleague already mentioned, the Resource Center team prepares the weekly news digest to which you can subscribe at our official website. In particular, among the work carried out by the Resource Center in September this year, we can mention the following. Together with the Ombudsman Office, we started the monitoring visits. The first one was the visit to Kirograd region. The major objective of this visit was to study the issue of the administrative practice in the sites, whether they understand clearly the problems of the IDPs. And in addition to that, with the assistance of the Resource Center, we arranged the meeting of the center with the Saving Bank. The main target or the main objective of this meeting was to ask the Saving Bank about the innovations of the government, including the transfer of the different payments and pensions to the pensioners, which are going to be served by the Saving Bank. Also in September, the organizations which are part of the Resource Center, we provided more than 4,000 consultations to the IDPs. The most frequent are the requests to get the humanitarian and target-oriented aid, but there are frequent cases when they approach us with some legal issues. The legal issues became more specific, and they require kind of professional follow-up by the professionals to provide the secondary legal assistance. For example, the lawyer who actually takes care of reception of IDPs in the Ombudsman office provides this kind of service. Also interesting the fact that, as you know, that within the framework of the Resource Center, there is the advocacy group, which takes care of the change in the governmental policy or associated with the humanitarian to the IDPs, which trying to save their lives and health from the military activities on the temporary occupied territory of Ukraine. Also analyzed the draft laws associated with the IDPs' rights. And the result of the work of this analytical group also found its reflection in our analytical report, and you can familiarize yourselves with the results of this report. Thank you very much, Olga. Once again, thank you very much for coming here and we plan to repeatedly appear here with our short reports. And we may remind you that we are open to cooperation to any NGOs and also with the governmental agencies, because we have the same objective and goal to provide aid and assistance to IDPs. This is a very complex task. Anybody can be involved. Once again, I emphasize we are open to our joint cooperation both with the NGOs and the governmental agencies. Thank you. Thank you, Yuliya. Thank you, esteemed colleagues. Any questions or clarifications? The first question will come from me to Yuliya Olga. You said that anybody willing can subscribe to the digest, which is they can find on your website. What's the address of your website, or title of your site, or maybe your Facebook page? Our site is called переселення.org. There is a special button, subscribe to the news digest. You can subscribe, and approximately once or twice a week, depending on the contact during the Eastern specific week, you're going to obtain the special news digest, the major news of the week related to the IDPs. Problems or issues. Our Facebook page is called Resource Center for Providing Help to IDPs. It's in two languages, English and Ukrainian. Ms. Yuliya, Tamila, at the beginning you mentioned that there is a call center at your resource center. Can you actually give the telephone numbers? How many people are involved in that center, and the working hours, so to say, when they call you, at what time? Also, you mentioned that you readdress the very complex issues or problems to the council advisors in different regions. How many advisors are there in Ukraine? Tamila will help me, but our resource center operates in the following way. My colleague will provide the telephone numbers. We have several of those. Our contacts call center works from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we involve the volunteers who would receive any kind of calls pertaining to the issues outstanding or problems of IDPs. IDPs themselves can call us, or those represents like different organizations. For example, we are such and such organization would like to carry out a monitoring visit to Dnipropetrovsk region. Can you tell us what organization we should address best of all? And we can't give the address of such organization because our resource center includes such organizations like KrymSOS, or the Right to Protection, Pravo на защиту, which operate, which have their representatives either monitors or advisors in each region. I can actually give the telephone numbers from our leaflet for MTS. 095 377 7014, Kyivstar 068 and 948 1800, live 0793, etc., etc. We have also the fixed telephone number 364 3734. You also had a question how many people, how many advisors in different regions. Tamila, please. All in all, we have 27 advisors, 25 on the regional level and 2 at the national level. When the issue cannot be resolved at the regional level, the advisor of the regional level will readdress this issue to the national level, and then there will be some kind of clarification done by the minister or his deputy into different social protection programs. So we have 27 advisors who work in each region, and now we are going to start a very active information campaign in each region. There will be a special department, social protection department, or let's say the healthcare department. They will have different slogans and the posters carrying the addresses and the telephone numbers of the resource center, which is involved in this direct communication. One more question, maybe addressed to Olena. You actually were mentioning all your different aspects of your work in your presentation. There were a lot of items you mentioned. Do you have some written information on them so that everybody willing to know could acquaint with that? So what is the possibility that your proposals will be taken into account? All our elaborations, or what we did, our proposals of the resource center, or organization, or the organizations represent which make up this resource center. There is a working group of the Ministry of Justice. So, if anybody wishes, the resource center can publish all the proposals, but this is just a draft, so to say. As for who is responsible. Today, the responsible for the development drawing up of the national plan to implement the national strategy is the Minister of Justice, which later is going to give the certain information to the cabinet ministers, and then they're going to be approved. And now the organizations which are part of the working group, they're doing everything possible so that all the proposals be included. And based on the results of the first meetings of the working group, we can see that, speaking in principle, the public organization, NGOs, they are unanimous regarding the list of the proposals which I voiced some time ago, that they should be included, and they have to be supported. In other words, the public will do everything possible for them to be included in the finalized version of this draft law. And then the government will step in, and the final decision will depend pretty much on the government. Thank you, Olena. I exhausted the list of my questions. Maybe somebody else would like. If not, thank you very much. This brings us to the end of our press conference. Also, Yuliya mentioned that you plan to regularly report in the UCMC. We are happy to see you anytime. Thank you.